Hi, welcome back to Orange Therapy on YouTube. My name is Julie Mullins. I am a professional counselor in South Carolina. And today I'm going to be continuing on with our discussion from Brené Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart. And today we're going to be talking about insecurity. Have you ever looked at somebody and thought, they're just so insecure, they're behaving in an insecure fashion. There's just so much insecurity that's showing up in that relationship. We're going to talk about insecurity today. Normally we talk about it in reference to self-doubt, low self-confidence, but there really is so much more that surrounds this idea of insecurity and how it impacts connection. We're going to talk about those things today. Sit back and let's learn about those things together. All right, so insecurity. The first area that Brené covers in her book Atlas of the Heart is a domain-specific insecurity. And when we're talking about a domain-specific insecurity, we're talking specifically about resources. So maybe somebody is food insecure. They struggle with getting enough food into their home because they don't have the resources for that. Maybe they live in a community that we refer to as a food desert. They don't have access, easy access to healthy, low-cost food, so they're food insecure. Maybe it's a child who's going home to a home where the cupboards are not filled. They don't know whether they're going to have dinner that evening. So this food insecurity is something that you maybe are hearing more about. Financial insecurity. People maybe have jobs that don't have consistent pays to them. Maybe they're in the service industry and they work outside, and so that's weather dependent. So there is some financial insecurity in that. Somebody working on commission has more financial insecurity than somebody who is paid hourly. Maybe there's lots of job loss, and so there are financial issues there. Lack of physical safety is a domain-specific insecurity as well. Sometimes people live in neighborhoods where it's just not safe to be out. Sometimes it's not safe to be within their own home. And so there is this insecurity in that environment where within that domain, in that environment, in this area of my life, I'm experiencing insecurity. I don't have what I need. And it's really about access to resources in that way. There's also relationship or interpersonal insecurity. When somebody doesn't have a supportive or a trusting relationship, and that's either in reference to a specific relationship or in all relationships, they just don't have a safe person in their life. They feel uncertain about whether they are trusted and loved and protected. It really impacts the individual, and it does vary based on the relationship. Maybe there is lack of relationship security with a colleague at work because they repeatedly have stabbed you in the back, so you don't feel secure in that relationship. You can't be open and honest with them. You're feeling guarded all the time. But if you're a child in a relationship with a parent who isn't a safe person, who is not supportive, is sharing things with other people that child has trusted to the parent but is kind of embarrassed about, it's difficult to have a trusting relationship in that area. So it causes insecurity in the relationships. I can't connect because I don't feel that level of confidence. I doubt that this relationship is a safe relationship. I can't really share with you. Then there is general or personal insecurity. And this is typically, I think, what people are referring to when they're talking about insecurity. It's when we're overly critical of our own weaknesses. whether it's our body image. We're very critical about the extra weight we're carrying. I'm looking in the mirror while I'm saying that. Maybe we're extra critical about our performance at work. Maybe I don't feel like I can give a presentation as well as the next guy, and so I feel insecure in that area. There is an opposite to that general or personal insecurity, and the opposite was actually described by Alice Huang, and forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong, and Howard Barenbaum. And the opposite would be self-security, which makes sense, rather than insecurity. They're calling the opposite self-security. And self-security is defined on page 174 for us. It's the open and non-judgmental acceptance of one's own weakness. And so it's not evaluating ourselves to have any weakness, but it's saying I'm not going to judge myself for having a weakness. The interesting thing about general or personal insecurity is that I can have a high level of self-esteem and still be insecure because of how these things interact with one another. So you see somebody walking into a room and they seem so self-assured, they still can be insecure. Self-esteem is related to our achievements and as related to our values. So if I value a high income level and I have a job where I'm getting a high income level, I may have very good self-esteem because I have achieved what I set out to achieve. If a home, if a family is something that I value, then I would have high self-esteem because I've achieved what it is I value. But I can still be insecure if I'm self-critical. Is your mind blown listening to that? Because mine was when I was studying this. I mean, I have known this, I have witnessed this, but the literature also and the studies have fleshed this out as well, that we can have a high level of self-esteem. So building up a child's self-esteem with prizes and awards for things that they've done isn't what we need to do for connection. I can have a high level of self-esteem and a low level of personal security, and it impacts my connection. A high level of self-security, that open-minded, non-judgmental acceptance of my weaknesses, because I have weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. None of us is perfect. We have strengths and we have growth areas. So we're going to have areas where we're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect, right? But a high level of self-security is highly correlated with self-compassion. And remember, I need to be self-compassionate if I'm going to grow, if I'm going to change, if I'm going to be able to belong. I need to have compassion toward myself. I need to accept myself so I can go anywhere. All of these things fit together, right? A low level of self-security, so a high level of personal insecurity, is negatively correlated, or self-security rather, is negatively correlated with shame-proneness, neuroticism, fear of negative evaluation, self-aggrandizement, and personal and relationship conflict. So if I have a low level of self-security, which means I have a high level of personal insecurity, I have problems with relationships. I might make myself out to be more than what I am, that self-aggrandizement, because I have to make myself look better so that I feel better because I don't feel good about myself. There's a fear, constant fear of negative evaluation in somebody who has this high level of personal insecurity. They're always thinking people are evaluating them negatively. The more secure we are, the more willing we are, however, to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is needed in relationship. Both personal and interpersonal insecurity cause us to actually behave in ways that pushes people away from us, and we tend to pull away from others as well. If I feel insecure, if I feel like I'm not good enough, remember, it sounds a lot like this idea of perfectionism being connected to disconnection, right? The correlation between perfectionism and disconnection is there. The more insecure I am, the less self-security I possess, the more likely I am to push other people away because I'm trying to protect myself. I end up disconnected and I end up getting the things I don't want. I need to be able to develop this self-compassion. And it's something that we talk about a lot. I need to be able to look at myself and say, I'm not very good in this area yet. Remember that little big powerful word. And I need to recognize that I have growth areas and other people have growth areas. I need to speak kindly to myself, not beat myself up in my insecurities and shame myself. I need to accept, right? A lot of these things come from family systems or personalities that we have been born with, and we interact with the world and we interpret things to mean, somebody said, well, their picture is better than your picture, they're the artist in the class. We take that to mean I'm no good at and never will be good at because I didn't get the accolades for that. I'm not as good, so I can't do that. That's not what that means, but that's how our little minds interpret it. And we become insecure about our ability to draw something. Or perhaps it's athletics. We go out and we are compared to somebody else where you don't run as fast as they run, and we maybe internalize that. Maybe we're shamed by somebody. I can't believe you got third place, right? Maybe we're shamed and we feel that personal insecurity, that I'm critical of my weakness, I'm not going to be okay. Right? And we pull away instead of leaning into that and go, no, I got third place this time, but I'm going to work really hard, and I may never get first place, but I might, and I'm going to try, and it's okay if I never do. I hope that you learned something from this today. I hope that you recognize that maybe your friend who has high self-esteem still might be insecure. Maybe you have high self-esteem and you feel insecure, and you never understood why those two things could go together, because they can. I hope that you direct some compassion toward yourself today, and you lean into vulnerability and connection with other people, because we are hardwired for connection. I hope you're able to look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, you are welcome here, exactly as you are. I hope that you've learned something today, and I hope that if you did, that you like, subscribe, and share this so that other people can learn something too. And I hope that even if you can't tell yourself yet that you are welcome as you are, I want you to know that here at Orange Therapy on YouTube, you are welcome exactly as you are.